Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Jewson speaking, one of the founders of BitcoinVend. I am joined here today and in conversation with Raj Kapoor. Raj is the founder and chairman of the India Blockchain Alliance. Thank you for joining me here today, Raj.
Thanks for having me here, Joe. Wonderful being with you.
Yeah, likewise. So today, everyone who's watching the video, today we're going to have a short discussion, maybe 20 minutes. To 40 minutes. Let's see how it flows. Basically about what's happening in crypto from Raj's perspective as someone who's in a very interesting situation in India. We're going to be talking about BitcoinVend and interviewing one another in...
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Joe.
Carry on.
Yeah, sorry. Joe, India's now become... Yes. The voice was breaking, so again, I'm just repeating that. So India's now become, just a few days back, the report came in that India's got the maximum number of crypto accounts anywhere in the world. It's almost 10 million plus now. Keeping in mind that India's a huge population, yes, but the fact that crypto entered our Indian milieu, so to speak, just a couple of years back, not even a couple of years back, I would say last 12 months to 16 months have been really strong in crypto. Otherwise, nobody knew crypto. Nobody really knew Bitcoin. They knew that there's something, they thought it was actually something very illegal. In fact, the first version of Bitcoin, everybody used to, when I talk about it, everybody used to think, I am doing something nefarious. I'm doing something behind the scenes, some cloak and dagger stuff. But then it took me quite some time to explain them otherwise. But then now today, look at the change. Maximum number of people in crypto anywhere in the world, of investing in crypto anywhere in the world, are now in India. It's been a real paradigm shift over the last 1.5 years. And it's been a pleasure enjoying that drive. It's been a beautiful drive as well.
Fantastic. Raj, probably jumping ahead to some questions I wanted to ask you further on, but maybe I can bring that in now. I mean, why do you think that is? Is India typically a country which is rapid to adopt change? Is this what you've seen in others? Can you give some insights in that from your perspective as an Indian?
I'll tell you. I will be very honest about it. One is greed. Everybody wants to make money. That's for sure. I'm not going to be very modest and say no. We are all. It's greed. It drives all of us at some point. The degrees differ, but it drives all of us. Indians no different. Especially the younger generation, the millennials, so to speak. These are the guys who actually drove this whole thing. Now, today, we normally feel that, okay, it's a new technology, new concept. So there are going to be a lot of guys in major cities which are the major investors. Now, 65% of investors are from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Now, that's the first time ever when the tier 2 and tier 3 cities have outstripped the demand from tier 1. Tier 1 is easier. They adopt easier. They adapt faster. They understand better. This time it's different. There's a reason again. Tier 2, tier 3 cities want to come up and they have aspirational. The middle class in India is very aspirational. And most of them hail from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. That's been the change. They now aspire to become rich faster. And they've seen the Bitcoin growth. And everybody thinks that they can take that roller coaster ride and they'll always end up on top. Not always true. But yes, that's what they think. But that's what they think. And then we can't change the thinking process. Now, and also the second reason is India also has a herd mentality. I got my neighbors making money in Bitcoin. Why the hell shouldn't I make it? And then it becomes a ripple effect, like a domino effect, so to speak. Almost everybody and their sister, mother, father, uncle, cousin, everybody's on the bandwagon. I just recently had a 70-year-old gentleman spend 1 hour and 20 minutes talking to me about crypto and why he wanted to get into crypto. We don't associate in India a 70-year-old gentleman talking about crypto. I mean, a 17-year-old, yes, 70-year-old, hardly ever. But now, it's all across. There are millennials, Generation X, Generation Y, whatever generations, everybody's in the space. And another very surprising thing you should know, a lot of crypto account holders are women. More than 60% are women. And that's another very big thing which has happened, very big change. So there you go. Adoption has been past greed. quick money, maybe herd mentality, maybe. But also important is a lot of them are not everybody is in the greed, etc. A lot of people realize the value Bitcoin is bringing to the economy in its own way, and it's a great hedge, especially in COVID times. Because it really did well, and it brought people out of gloom. So COVID actually acted as a catalyst in the whole thing. It made people realize there is another option, and they look at it now as another option, not just to make money now. Initially, it was greed. Now they look at it as an option, make investments, and get money faster than the regular route that they haven't taken so far, which is stocks, shares, debentures. That's there.
So,
yeah.
I find that very interesting, Raj, especially the point about women. Because this is something which is proportionately, that sounds like, to me, I haven't seen any data on this for a couple of years maybe, but I know that the proportion in westernized countries or Western countries is far different from that. Can you give some insight as to why you think it's being received very well, or why the women are more interested proportionately there? Is that, and also maybe you could answer the question, is the demographic in terms of the population, what's the kind of ratio in India, men versus women?
Right. Well, India has a population skewed definitely in front of them. The male, the 52%, 52-48 is what the male-female ratio is. However, the investor ratio is completely different. It's almost 60-odd% are women and 40-odd% are men. There is a reason for it. There are two reasons, in fact. They're very, very unique to India. In India, it's generally the man who is the bread earner, and he's the guy who pays his taxes. The women generally are housewives, or if they're working, their jobs are not as paying as the gentlemen, as the guys. So they come in the lower tax bracket. So generally, the men open accounts in their wives' names or their sisters' names. That is one. One is a tax perspective, because the tax levels are lesser for women, and women get some benefits from the government also. So that's one of them. It's not that they have more savvy always. They all are equally savvy. I would not say that. Second, a lot of women in India, especially in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, don't work. They are housewives. As a result, they also dabble. They were dabbling all in the stock markets, yes, and they found another alternative. And they said, why not? If I can spend a couple of hours a day. And the best part is they can do it at their time. It's 24/7. The stock market has a limitation. Sometimes they're busy cooking, cleaning, etc. They don't get the time. Here they can sit anytime they feel like and actually do that. And women are pretty tech savvy here. Not only tech savvy, they're pretty mathematically inclined as well. So they're pretty good at the calculations, the ROIs, etc. Probably better than most of us, I guess. But anyways, that's the second reason. So one is the reason where it's from a tax implication perspective. The second is from a perspective of sitting at home. Great way to have alternate income. And of course, they get pushed by their husbands also. Hey, why don't you put it out? Put it in your name. Let's start. That's the second. And third, what has happened is they want to get that feeling of equality. We can do as well as the guys can do. It's not a guy's thing anymore. We too can do the same thing. It's a new class of people coming out, emerging. It's a new economy emerging, and a new millennial emerging. And women are playing a very major role in this whole thing. In fact, you'll be very happy to know, even as an extension of India Blockchain Alliance, we have a separate wing called the GB, the Global Blockchain Women Alliance. It's only women. They learn crypto, they talk crypto, they learn blockchain. There are 1,700 girls start taking up various courses, understanding it, and then actually getting into the investment, or getting placed or investing, either of the two, or starting their own startup. So that's been a very, very new phenomena, even for us to see. And we are enjoying it.
Good, good. I think that's very interesting, because also women are typically more sharing and generous than men.
Yes. Yes.
So as we bring that, ultimately, I mean, one of the reasons why I got into crypto in the first place is I saw that this could be lay a foundation for an economy which was more balanced and was more inclusive. It hasn't really gone that way in some ways because of the greed mentality and, large players coming into the space, and everyone's very focused on what they can get right now, so they can buy nice things or feel this security that they're looking for, etc. So I think it's great it's certainly very positive for me to hear that there's more women getting involved, because it's definitely lacking in the space.
Sorry, I'd like to add one more thing here. in India, there is a goddess called Lakshmi.
Mm-hmm.
There is a goddess which is worshipped by every Indian. Lakshmi in English means wealth. And that's why a lot of men even believe that by investing through their wives or along with their wives and the women will bring them better luck and wealth. And that's what, in fact, the housewives are called Ghar ki Lakshmi, the wealth of the house. And that's another reason where a lot of tier 2 and tier 3 adoption is coming from. It may all sound strange to people from outside India, but in India, that's what they say. In fact, when a daughter is born, they say the Lakshmi is born. So there's wealth coming in the family because the girl is born, girl child is born. So the girl child now has become a very significant, and a few years back, mind you, it never used to be there. A girl child meant, oh, good Lord, dowry, expense, it's no longer that now. Now a girl child is welcomed as well. A lot of changes. The old school is changing now.
Raj, it's apparent to me from our previous conversations, but I think it also apparent to anyone who's listening to this that you have an abundance of knowledge on this subject. Obviously, you're part of the India Blockchain Alliance, and you're the founder and chairman. Can you maybe touch on for the audience a little bit more about IBA, why you founded it, what it's set up to do, what the intention are, and the objectives behind the organization?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you why I started it first. Then I'll tell you what we do. I started talking about blockchain a long time back. I've been involved about 10, 11 years now. Internationally, when I would speak, everybody would understand my language. But when I started talking in India, and I had a lot of Indian clients and a lot of friends, the only thing they would ask me, in about 2018, end of 2018, 19, I started talking more blockchain than I used to before. People used to ask me nothing about blockchain, but they would only ask me whether Bitcoin is a good investment, or whether Bitcoin is legal, or what can I do with Bitcoin? Can I buy something with Bitcoin? They would not talk blockchain. They would talk Bitcoin. It was an interchangeable word to start with. That is how it started. Now I said, this is not, let me educate them into finding out why they are different, how they are different, and they have different use cases and everything. It's a great use case, yes. The Bitcoin is a great use case, but it's not blockchain. So I started actually doing a lot of programs and making people aware what is crypto, what is blockchain, why should you invest in crypto, and if you should, what should you look out for, etc., etc., etc. So I started off with the evangelism of blockchain and crypto and getting people to know the differences. Now that's one. This soon picked up very well, and I started doing a lot of work with young students who would ask me these questions. So I told these universities where there were programs and courses and make people aware of that. That'll be a great start. So let's put it this way. I put my Genesis block in India with universities and colleges, where we work with a network of more than 80 or 90 universities across India, some outside India also, where we run programs, we run certifications, we bring in the blockchain projects so they can get their hands dirty. We help them with internships, we help them with job placements, whatever, the entire ecosystem we built inside there. We call it the center of excellence. But then that's how it started. As awareness grew, I used to get a lot of I said, let me start and make it a little formal. That was one of the first stepping stones or building blocks, I would say. The next building blocks was a lot of corporates started asking, what is blockchain? Do I need blockchain? What am I going to do with blockchain? Am I going to replace my legacy systems? Does it integrate with any of my technologies? Does it speak a different language? Is it costly? Will I have an ROI? A million questions and no answers, because in India, there are very few people who are well versed with blockchain. So I started an advisory and consulting arm within the IBA. So the first block was academia. The second was the corporate structure. So I started advising a lot of corporates on how they can blockchain, why, the who, where, when, what, why of blockchain. Do I need it? Why, etc., etc., etc. That picked up very well. And that also led to training of their executives, of the technology techies who would actually build the blockchains. So what I was doing in colleges and schools, I replicated it here at another level, at a higher level. Also, my ecosystem started forming. I was training these guys on different platforms, on blockchain, Hyperledger, Fabric, Cardano, Solidity, whatever, Ethereum. And then I would get them placed in these places where people would want to run their blockchain projects. So it became a beautiful backward-forward integration. Then I also work very closely. IBA works very closely with young startups who are not in the blockchain space but would like to be in the blockchain space, or have a great product, want to integrate blockchain, don't know how to push it into the product, or just use the word blockchain maybe to get funding or whatever. And then I help guide them shape their product, keeping in mind market dynamics of the nation outside, because I'm working in different countries. So the market dynamics, I'm pretty familiar with a few market dynamics, not all. And so I started advising them. I became a mentor for them, and then help them get seed funding, get them on an accelerator, etc., and get them on their way. Then work out a go-to-market strategy for them as well. So that was my next silo. And the fourth a basic pillar of our organization is we do a lot of work with the government. When we say we work with the government, we advise the government on many multiple issues of blockchain and fintech and crypto. We work with excellent, government agencies from a training perspective, bringing awareness perspective, helping them, recommending draft policies, recommending what could be included in the policies, and also helping the government in various states. In India, there are 90 odd government projects going on the blockchain, helping them with those projects. If they're in 14 states, we are working with them in 12 different states. Mm-hmm. So these are the four pillars: academia, corporate, startups, government. Basically, the entire ecosystem of IBA. So we work with partners from outside India, anywhere, Indian partners, outside partners from international partners. We have got partners from at least 15, 16 different countries. We work with them, help them create a market for the Indian market. Everything which is, for example, in the United States is not palatable to an Indian. So we Indianize the products, the solutions, and work with our international partners to get them traction in our nation. That's one of the things. The second, I help our partners get inroads, get them the right market feedback, get them the right intelligence, what they require if they wish to come to India. So that's the second part we do. And finally, at the end of the day, a lot of the larger companies want to get business here, especially government business or large corporate enterprise business. That's another thing we do for our international partners. We are their de facto Indian arm, and we represent them at all levels and help them take on big deals, enterprise deals. And also, most important, for example, a lot of them need an India office, because you cannot do business in India without having an India office. So we become the de facto India office as well, till the time they're big enough to branch out on their own. So we give them advisory right through, basically an India advisory session. We do complete end-to-end, right from diligence, right from surveys, right from feedback, right from the structuring, corporate structuring, market intelligence, whole 9 yards. So that's what IBA does. Quite a lot.
Yeah, quite a lot. I assume, based on that, that it's quite a large organization nowadays.
It is. We are present in 17 cities across the country.
Okay.
So, yeah. And we are headquartered in Mumbai, which is the commercial capital and the financial capital of the country. And our members are from, as I said, more than 15 or 16 different countries. They're from Slovenia. We have somebody from Slovenia. We have from Russia. We have, of course, from the US, the UK, Canada, Australia. They are the usual suspects. We work very closely with the Nordic Blockchain Association based out of Denmark. We work with Africa. I work also in Africa with many countries. So we work with them, shape their products for the Indian market, present it from an Indian perspective, and manage the perception for it so that, they get traction out here. That is if they want to come from a business perspective. They want to come from a voluntary perspective. There are some volunteer perspectives who give us some free programs, free courses, which we again roll out for our not-for-profit initiatives also. So it's a very beautiful mix.
Yeah. So how is all this funded, Raj? How does the IBA keep its operations going?
Self-funded. We haven't taken a single dollar from anyone so far, and we don't intend to either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We generate our own wealth, and we tell our partners, when you generate, we generate at the same time. So we're both motivated to generate. So it's not that we make money when you make money. That's the way we do it.
Fantastic. So Raj, there's a lot going on here in the IBA, all over the place, many people, lots of projects and dynamics to it. How did you, Raj Kapoor, end up in that situation? Because it sounds like you must have come from a technical background as well as a business background, or has this been a learning process on the way for you? I'm sure it has in many respects, but what were you doing before IBA?
Well, I was always in the consulting space. I was doing a lot of consulting work. Most of my work was, since I was in the United States for a long time, about 10 years now, not now, before, I had a lot of connects in the United States. So I used to represent their interests in India. I used to bring their businesses to India. That was what I was doing prior to that. I was an India entry strategy specialist. So I knew the markets. I straddled both worlds, the West and the East. And of course, in between, we had Africa as well. So I knew Africa and India markets. And I used to get these guys into India, right strategy, positioning, perception management, setting up the India offices, compliance, everything. The whole works, so to speak. That's what I was doing. I did that for many years. And I just, of course, I was always involved in blockchain all the while, but nobody understood what I'm talking about. So it was always in the back burner. And other technologies also. I was very interested. I was very keen on other technologies. And by the way, I do not come from a technical background. I come from a marketing business strategy background. Okay. I learned everything on the way. I can program now in 18 languages, but I had no clue. In the 80s, when I was out of school and out of college, there was no computer in India. There's nothing. There was a big rooms with computing systems. Oh boy, I saw one. I said, I don't know what. I don't want to go in that room. But along the way, I picked up the skills, and I enjoyed the journey. So it's more my passion which has driven me to learn. That's one. And I today, apart from blockchain, I am equally adept at artificial intelligence, cloud computing, robotic processes automation, IoT. I learned everything because I enjoyed everything. I said, everything's got a great use. Blockchain happened to come by and said, well, listen, I'm an umbrella. I can take care of all these things along with blockchain. So it became a sort of an integrated solutions all the time.
So how did that bit happen for you, Raj? I think that's a very interesting story, I think, for people like yourself. I mean, for anyone listening who doesn't know me, I've been involved in the blockchain space since 2013 as well. I'm not technically savvy like Raj is, very much being more on the financial and trading elements of it. But how did that first story of getting into discovering Bitcoin, because at the time we were all saying Bitcoin, we weren't talking about blockchain. That's a word that came along later. So was there an interesting story around your first kind of discovery of Bitcoin?
Well, there was. See, I was in the United States. I'd gone for an assignment out there. And while we were doing that assignment, I finished the assignment and the guy said, can I pay you in coin? I said, I don't want coins. I want the dollar, man. I don't want the coins. So that's the first thing I said. I really didn't know at that time what is a coin. So he says, I'm giving you Bitcoins, man. So I said, what the hell is a bloody Bitcoin? So he explained to me, he sat me down for about an hour, and not in some fancy restaurant. He took me to a McDonald's and sat me down there. And he says, listen, today, it's going to be the next McDonald's. It's going to make a lot of money. And I said, all right, how's it going to make money? He explained to me. I didn't understand.
You just wanted to be paid.
Yeah, I want to get paid. I want to just take the money and come back home for Christmas, because they were all close for Christmas. I said, I'm going to celebrate my Christmas at home as well. So anyways, he says, listen, you take half the money, you take cash. I'm giving you the dollar, which you want. I recognize the dollar. I don't recognize the Bitcoin. He says, half you take that, and you won't believe it. He says, you'll remember me every day of your life. What if you take this? I said, either I'm going to curse you for the rest of my life, or I'm going to bless you for the rest of my life. All right, I take my chances, guys. So I actually took the Bitcoin and said, all right, I opened I had a wallet, I have a hard wallet, so I took that and said, all right, it's with me. And I came to India for a holiday. He gave me a call about a couple of months later. He said, "Yeah, guys, you check what Bitcoin's gone to?" I have no idea. I just forgotten about it. I saw the rise. I said, "This is something phenomenal because it's not backed by gold, not backed by any government agency, and here's this damn thing going up higher every day. I'm seeing it. It is the initial boom that time.
Yeah, just before the Silk Road push, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just before that. All right, that's great. And then I said, yeah, I'm not going to curse you any longer. But I said, what can I do with the damn thing first? Can I sell it? He says, yeah, you can sell it. And all this. I said, I can't sell it in my country. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. He says, you just keep it. Don't sell it. I said, all right, I won't sell it. I'll keep it. I forgot about it. But he says, I promise you'll make money. I remember his words every day. So as like anybody else, like you, like so many others, I went in for the speculation. But I enjoyed the technology so much that I stayed back for the revolution. Mm-hmm. That was my journey from Bitcoin to blockchain. Went for the speculation, stayed back for the revolution. And there we go. Today, both coexist beautifully.
Nice timing.
Yeah, nice.
That was it. Was that in 2011, Raj, maybe? Okay.
Early 11, yeah. In fact, I still haven't sold them. I kept them for sentimental value, but now they're plenty commercial value.
Fantastic. Well, I'm very happy for you. That was definitely a good bet that you took at that stage.
Yeah, good call.
Great, fantastic. Well, let's Raj, thank you very much for sharing all of that. I'm sure that everyone in our community and whoever else may be listening to this through LinkedIn or other networks has been very interested by your story. I'd like to move on a little bit to more specifically what the India Blockchain Alliance and BitcoinVend are doing together. And to introduce that to people, I would like if you could potentially ask me some questions about the project so that people can hear it. Rather than me giving the spiel, please interview me a little bit, sir.
Right. I'm going to ask you the questions now, Joe. It's now, you asked me a lot of questions. Now it's your time to get grilled, okay?
Please. I'll have a sip of water before I get too scared.
You have a sip of water, yeah. Now, I know, you see, in India, everybody knows crypto, and Bitcoin is, of course, in India, there is the biggest craze is Bitcoin. He's the biggest hero. Everybody knows Bitcoin. They may not know Ether. They may not know Litecoin. They may not know other coins, Filecoin, Chainset. They don't know so many. But Bitcoin, everybody knows. So now, Bitcoin then becomes a very interesting choice as something. Whenever I talk, even now when I'm talking, everybody asks me, what is this Bitcoin then? So I said, I'm going to maybe tell you a little bit, but somebody else is going to tell you much more. So that's up to you, Joe. You tell me, what is Bitcoin then? How did you get about getting into this? What was the gap you were trying to cover in? I know there was a huge gap in the market, and I think you got it right. But I just want to hear from your words. I'm sure there was a lot of thought behind this. You're the co-founder. What made you say? What was that eureka moment for you when you said, Bitcoin then, and we're going to take it to the world?
Well, it's an interesting story because it's also something which is very relatable. I feel and I hope, and that's the real simplicity and beauty of it. Not so simple, the project, but the approach is simple, so to speak. So you ended up in this scenario, Raj, which is in hindsight a very good scenario for you because you held on to that Bitcoin. But your first question initially was, what can I do with this? You wanted the dollars. You wanted to be able to either spend it or get the dollars because that was part of your income and sustaining your life. Around about that time, we had this push in the price, which was mainly off the back of activity happening on Silk Road in the dark web. And the reason why the price was being pushed is because at that stage, it had a use case. Whether that use case was the cleanest use case, which it wasn't particularly because we all know, the dark side of the dark web. But it had a use case. People were using it to pay for things with one another. And obviously the famous story of however many it was, 32,000 Bitcoins for a pizza is now a very expensive pizza. But ultimately, what I understood from my self-study of economics and my own activity in crypto, which started around 2013, prior to which time I had been researching economics and the Law Society and understanding how banking systems work, et cetera, et cetera. I was interested very much at the beginning by the use case and the ability for Bitcoin or cryptocurrency technologies to give us an alternative to fiat-based monetary systems, which are by the nature of them nowadays, I mean, obviously we're not on the gold reserve anymore with the dollar. They're inflationary systems, and the deflationary nature of Bitcoin was very attractive to me. And obviously being able to control your own wealth, et cetera, et cetera. So I went on this crazy adventure similar to you. I was always frustrated by my inability to use my Bitcoin. So I've spent a lot of Bitcoin over the years. Now, sometimes I kind of slightly shed a tear when I think about how much I have spent, because there was an enormous amount of Bitcoins flowing through my trading accounts, and I was sustaining my life for between 2014 to 2018. Mainly my income was sustained from trading revenue. So what I was doing was I was trading Bitcoin on the open market, making profits, selling that Bitcoin in the exchange back into fiat, pulling it to my bank account, and then spending it on my credit card.
Right.
So for me, through various different activities, through what I was doing both with Bitcoin, which was mainly at that time, this was about a year and a half ago, focused in the institutional OTC space. So providing liquidity to different exchange partners and high net worth individuals who are looking to either liquidate or acquire Bitcoin. Through that activity, I started building relationships with market makers and institutional liquidity providers, and happened to find myself on a phone call with Christopher Cousins. Christopher is the other founder of BitcoinVend. We then discovered that we live 5 minutes away. So he lives down here in the south of Spain, where I live as well. We have offices here and in Estonia. And Chris, after a couple of, there's a high failure rate when it comes to OTC transactions. And at the time I was still in a learning process of getting more into the very sophisticated way to do it, as opposed to this kind of old school mentality, which I won't go into at the moment. But I realized that Chris understood things that I didn't. And I started learning from him and making new connections with him. And we had some successes and some failures. And after a failure, which wasted about 2 or 3 weeks of our time, Chris said to me, "Hey, should we do something a bit easier?" And I was thinking at the time, yes, that's great. But it turns out it's not easier. It's much more difficult. But anyway, At that time, he told me about BitcoinVend. So at the time, it was an application which he had spent about a year working on with a very, very lean team, just one developer, throwing ideas around, building some infrastructure for basically a Craigslist style marketplace that would work with Bitcoin. And immediately once I understood Chris's idea, the light bulb went. It's like my first interpretation of it was Silk Road 2.0, but legal. So I was like, okay, this is a solution which potentially solves one of my problems, or not problems, but inconveniences. If I could spend my crypto directly on products and services which I need without being reliant on the bank account, then there's various advantages for me. And this is starting to make the most of cryptocurrency in a way that makes sense to the reason why I originally got involved. Of course, there was greed when I got involved, but there was also this fascination and inspiration with an alternative means of money, which has never really existed in this world. We started with like feathers and cacao, and moved on to like, precious stones, and then gold, and through notes, and to credit cards, and then to e-banking, and now we're in this blockchain crypto DeFi space. So there's this evolution of money going on, and the next evolution of money is crypto technologies, blockchain-based technologies, but we're not using it that way. So in comparison, when I say we're not, in comparison to what's happening in the markets, a vast majority of market activity is based upon speculation or profit making. Yes. There's nothing wrong with that, but we can get a lot more out of the technology. And also, there's a large portion of the world who don't have disposable income, who do not have the money to be able to speculate on an asset and also expose themselves to something which fluctuates in value on a day-to-day basis. If it goes up, fantastic. If it goes down, now we have a problem and can't buy our food or get access to the things that we need.
Yes.
So in order for us to have currency which can be used as currency, because Bitcoin and cryptos are more like traded assets right now, they're not like currencies.
Yes.
we need a marketplace for goods and services. So that's where BitcoinVend came about. In the traditional money world, you have a bank, you have a credit card. So your bank is like where you store, maybe like your crypto wallet. Your credit card is where you spend from. So that's like your crypto wallet as well. But then you have shops. You can go to a supermarket and anyone accepts your credit card. If you say euros to someone, yeah, they'll be happy to take their euros because they can spend them as well. And this is what we're missing in the crypto space.
Yes.
So I was obviously excited and enthralled by being able to solve the problem for myself, but also be able to offer that opportunity to other people. And that's really where BitcoinVend began. What it's now evolved into from a Craigslist style Bitcoin marketplace, which we decided not to take the market. We decided to take another deep dive into developing our product, which will be released sometime later this year or the early part of next year, is now what we're decided to do and have thought, if we're going to build a solution for this, the solution needs to be comprehensive. We need to involve and give people reason to stay on the platform and use the platform and give them the means and the liquidity and the seamlessness and the convenience to store their crypto, spend their crypto, and do commerce. So as Elon Musk would say, and I use Elon Musk's quote, well, I won't quote him exactly because it's very relevant and in the news and lots of people know him. But real goods and services are the value in our economy, and the currency is basically the medium of exchange, in few words. So if we create an economy of goods and services which uses crypto as the form of payment, then we can start really starting to get the most of what the opportunity that we have in front of us. This is very difficult for legacy systems and legacy companies because they have a whole lot to change. We're in a fresh new position right now where we can build from scratch. So at the moment, what we're finalizing in terms of technology is a platform which enables people to very securely store their Bitcoin or their cryptocurrencies, whatever cryptocurrency that might be. They can pay one another within the platform instantly and for free. And they can, the most important part, it'll probably come second or third in the development timeline because it's the most complicated, is goods and services. So people will be able to set up inside of BitcoinVend a shop or an offering, so to speak, similar to Amazon or eBay or Facebook Marketplace, and offer products and services to other users of the platform, where the only payments mean is in cryptocurrency. We're not using fiat. It's a solely crypto ecosystem. So by combining these features of being able to store, send, and exchange and do commerce in the same place, we're creating a mini crypto economy inside of one platform.
Excellent.
If you were to do that with other solutions which currently exist on the marketplace right now, there would be a lot that you would have to do in terms of multiple different accounts, multiple different platforms, multiple different markets. The administration and the cost involved in doing so would be incredibly and is prohibitive, which is why we have this circumstance right now where Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are being used for mainly speculation, because it's not very practical to use them in commerce. So in order for us to make a solution which really works, BitcoinVend must have these integrated services, and they must all seamlessly connect with one another with fluidity and with convenience, and it needs to be easy to use. So like the IBA, in many ways, BitcoinVend is an enormous project, and we're at very early stages right now, but our technology is very nearly there. And we're looking forward to being able to offer this solution to people like yourselves, to people in India, to people in different nation states across the planet, where they can have and make the most of their crypto by, whether that's, let's paint a scenario, Raj, which helps people really understand it. Let's say you're in Africa or you're in India and you don't have disposable income to be able to invest and speculate upon an asset, but your friends are talking about crypto and you've started to learn about it and you understand that maybe this is something which we're going to use in a big way in the future, but you don't have the liquidity or the assets available to get into crypto. What you do have, though, is skills to offer. or maybe a product that you have made. BitcoinVend will enable that person to set up an account and offer those products or services to a global marketplace and get paid in crypto. So they just entered the market with no risk capital. It also brings, I mean, we talk about Bitcoin as like this inclusive, borderless technology, but it's actually not particularly inclusive right now, because in order to get into crypto, you have to have a credit card or a bank account. A lot of the world don't have credit cards and bank accounts, but they do have smartphones, and a smartphone can be acquired for less than $100 in some areas. So we're giving that person the opportunity to be able to enter into crypto by offering something of value to the ecosystem. And why I say that in such a way is because what I've been doing for many years is extracting value from the crypto ecosystem. I've been selling back into fiat, going back to legacy systems and paying for my life that way. What we do when we offer something into the crypto economy is we're pushing value into the system. And this is in traditional markets, GDP, and how economies grow and flourish from like a wealth and an industrial perspective. So that's what we're creating with BitcoinVend in a nutshell. It's a platform which will enable people to pay, exchange, do commerce, and store securely their cryptocurrencies. And we'll have fiat on and off ramp, because that's very important. Because we're not living in a world where right now you can pay your electricity bill with crypto, for example. It's very difficult. So we have to still honor the legacy systems. We're not against the legacy systems. We're providing a way for people to make the most of this asset, which is picking up speed in its adoption, but in adoption in the sense of the word of people have it, but they're not spending it. And I remember, Raj, we had a conversation, I think last week, where I asked you, and I would probably repeat the question for anyone who's listening, are people in India looking to spend their crypto? I know I am, but I want to hear from you.
The answer is a resounding yes. It's an absolute yes. It's not all about investments only and making a little quick buck here and there. They really want to know what they can do. For example, that leads me to another question, which actually I wanted to ask, which a lot of Indians ask me also, is with BitcoinVend, may not be right now, maybe in the future, would you be able to connect them with all the other providers who accept Bitcoins as a means of payment? For example, I know that Time Magazine allows you to pay from Bitcoin for a subscription. I know that the University of Nicosia, for example, amongst a couple of other universities, accepts Bitcoin as tuition fees. So are we going to try and bring these providers who actually are already saying, all right, I'm happy to take the coins, I may take fiat or coin, but are we trying to get them into the same ecosystem as well at some point of time?
100%. So there's two ways to combine those things. I mean, from a very early perspective, as soon as the product's released, it'll work just like a wallet. So if someone else has got a wallet, you can obviously pay that wallet. But ultimately, further down the line, what we're doing with BitcoinVend is we're cutting down costs and cutting down time. We're making things more efficient. So, for example, let's say that you are an institution who wanted to accept crypto payments. Maybe you're using coin payments right now, or some other Coinbase Pay, or some other type of platform. What we typically see, without pointing anything out directly, I don't want to point at so-called competitors and say they're doing anything wrong. It's about efficiency and cost saving. So we're building a system which is able to, there's so much automation in place, and we have so much liquidity in terms of what we can exchange, because our product connects directly into market makers. We can provide very competitive and affordable pricing, and all sorts of systems which would enable people to not only manage their money within that system, but accept payments into the system and choose, for example, certain settings. A corporate institution may decide that, you know, a good 80% of their costs, which are going out, they're not able to be paid in crypto right now. So let's say they decide to accept through BitcoinVend 100 different cryptocurrencies, but they want to make sure that they convert 80% of that back into a stable coin, or they need to pull it back into fiat into their bank account. We will facilitate that. And there will be different settings within the system which enable them to operate their business in a way that's viable, but still offer the customer the flexibility to pay in whatever they decide to pay, because ultimately that's it's a question of choice and freedom.
Right.
So yes, 100%. And the main objective of BitcoinVend is to make this easier in terms of setup, easier in terms of management, and faster and more cost effective.
Right.
And we will successfully do that because of the way that we are building our infrastructure. We are in a unique position where, as you know from personal experience, Raj, technology is continually evolving. We're in a very new technology market in terms of blockchain and crypto-based technologies. And because we are a new product, we are able to integrate the most advanced and cutting-edge systems at the moment based on proprietary technology, which is faster, more secure, cost-saving, etc. Whereas if we were to make a comparison, Coinbase, for example, for Coinbase to integrate the kind of systems that we have right now, they would have to rip apart their infrastructure.
Whoa.
We don't have any infrastructure. Well, we do, but we didn't have any infrastructure to rip apart. We're building fresh from 2021, which gives us an advantage which we can offer on to the customer, both in terms of security, but efficiency, liquidity, etc., etc. So it's a very interesting position to be in right now.
It is, and this is also going to be very exciting because now we've entered into a partnership. That's a fantastic thing. In the partnership, I see a lot of value. Both of us, I feel, are pioneers in what we are trying to do. Both of us, whether it's IBA or BitcoinVend, you've created a beautiful product. We've created an ecosystem much earlier than the markets really were ready for, but now it's actually mature. So I think one of the good things would be now we have a very strong base here, yes, but now they have a big option. And I think that's the biggest value BitcoinVend can bring in to this entire whole bunch of guys who've got all of these cryptos. How will they keep trading all the time? I don't think all of them are interested in trading all the time. I know for sure. I had some guy ask me whether he can. In fact, some people ask me whether they can pay me my fees in coin. So I do take that. Yes, I accept that. I once in a while, yes. But without having a place on your platform, but I do that. But that's not everybody does that. I see over the next few years a lot of people doing that, taking payments through coin. That's one. And if all these things can be brought into the ecosystem which you are creating at BitcoinVend, I think that'll be really game-changing, and that'll be really awesome. At what stage are we right now? When are we ready to launch this? Because I'm sure all of India is waiting for it right now, and as is the rest of the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to. I don't like to paint an expectancy. As people can imagine, this is not a simple thing to do. At the moment, we're in an interesting position because we initially, as I mentioned earlier, we had a product. Really, we changed that product a lot because we were looking deeper at the economical implementations and ease and convenience. And we're like, okay, well, we don't want to just create something which is going to exist for a year or so and then fizzle out. We need to create something which is future-proof and robust and is moving with the times. So we re-engineered a lot of the system, but we have all the pieces of the puzzle, so to speak. We have most of the technology infrastructure built, about 95% of it. At the moment, we're in the last phases of connecting it all together in the right ways, because unlike many other projects, we have a multitude of features inside of one product, which means there's information firing left, right, and center. There's a lot more for people to manage and to deal with, and for us to manage and to deal with. So we need very sophisticated systems and to spend good time on user interfaces, etc. That's what we're doing at the moment. We're connecting all the pieces of the puzzle together, which we've built. We're refining the user interface. We're solidifying some infrastructural things to make sure that we can scale at the rate we anticipate and would like to scale at. And we hope to have a product released, an early version. It won't have all of the features tied in initially. They will be phased out and roll out. And we hope to do that late this year / early next year. No latest Q1 2022, we will have a very functional product out there. It may include some simplified marketplace at the beginning, or it may not. At the moment, when you look from an infrastructure perspective and a feasibility perspective, it's very important that payments and exchange work very, very well and efficiently before marketplace comes in. because otherwise you're enabling, like what's happening in the current ecosystem, you're enabling someone to buy and sell a product or service with crypto, but it becomes prohibitive when you can't be liquid or you can't send that around with efficiency. So the exchange and the payment side of stuff is necessary to release first. We need to make that very efficient and very robust, and then we will plug the marketplace on top of it. But the whole system is built to encompass those features. So come the first quarter of next year, we will start rolling out incrementally more and more, and have a product which people can start using and experiencing the benefits of. And as we move forward, there'll be additional benefits. Very key is that we keep it easy to use and don't try and rush to provide the whole thing on day one. We need to hear from the world and from the audience how this is working for them, where the store points they are, and refine it as we go, because we want this to be sustainable and really help to move crypto forward. So for us, yes, we want to get the product out as soon as possible, but at the same time, it must be solid, and it must be done the right way. So yeah, Q1 2022, that's what I'll say.
Great. I mean, that's nice. It's good news. I have a last question for you right now, Joe.
Please.
Plenty of them, but then we can keep on speaking all day, all night. But
yeah, we're already well over 40 minutes, Raj. We should cut it. We should cut it quite soon.
My last question for you is India. What made you think of India as when we talk about a partnership? Why India?
Well, obviously, India has a lot of people. India is also a country which I see. I mean, my knowledge of India is very limited, but I have Indian friends. I'm obviously aware. I'm in the technology space. I'm aware that India is very technology driven in many ways, and also is an interesting market, which is like, I don't like these words like industrialized nation states, or like more sophisticated, more advanced countries. I don't like to put countries into boxes like that. But if I were to for a minute, I would say that India, from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, has this interesting combination of like very advanced and then like up and coming and then like severe poverty as well. There's like a broad spectrum of different people. So I feel that India is a very interesting market because of that. You have, for example, if we were to make some contrast to that, a comparison, and go to certain African nation states, we would see that there is a lot in the kind of lower and middle tier and not very much in the higher tier. But India has a very interesting mix between all three. And I feel that it's a very interesting market to roll out into that because of one is use case and adoption, but second of all is being able to help the people who are in the lower tier move up and start having more financial freedom and opportunities. So obviously it's a huge market. It's a complicated market, which we have very little knowledge of. But we heard about yourself, and one of our team, James, has obviously been reaching out to you. And for us, and I love what you guys are doing. We love what you guys are doing. But at the same time, we don't have particular bias as BitcoinVend to do with who we work with or where we work with. Because what we're all doing here, Raj, and I'm sure you agree, is we're all going after the same objectives. We want to help evolve money and help evolve and improve our economy and provide more freedom and choice for everyone. So anytime we get the opportunity to partner with an organization such as yourself, who already have that mini ecosystem established of people who understand and can spread the word, then it's obviously advantageous to those people and to yourselves and to us as a company, and can help us grow. So there's no particular one reason why I can define that. It's we're on the same page, so let's work together. That's where the essence of our relationship has come from.
Yeah, and India's got a very, by the way, India's, of course, as you said very correctly, it's a very large market. Yes, that's one part of it. And you said, we could work with anyone. That's not the point. Also, India, just for, I would like you to know also that India's got the largest aspirational class, which is called the Indian middle class, which basically, you should know, the middle class basically makes up 28% of our total population and is almost 80% of the total taxpayer base. This is what you should know. Also, in terms of size, sheer numbers, more than 600 million are what we say is the Indian middle class. And that's the class, that's the place, that's the demography where crypto is largest. It's the maximum middle class people getting into the crypto space. That's a huge market, 600 million people. It's a lot of people.
Hmm.
Yeah. And as I said, it's almost 80% of the tax are paid by these guys. They have the disposable incomes, they have everything, and they are the aspirational class. So even today, when we deal with a lot of crypto queries, it comes from this demography.
So to anyone listening here, as you can tell, Raj is educating me on India as we speak. So as you can probably also tell, this is incredibly interesting partnership for BitcoinVend, and for obvious reasons for IBC, and I hope for obvious reasons for BitcoinVend, because Raj will be working closely with us as in different ways, which are yet to be entirely defined. Because we're in the early stages of right now, it's very clear that we want to be in a working relationship, but obviously without a product there on the market, we're not in the position to say, this is how we're working to everyone and kind of nail it to the T. But obviously Raj's expertise and knowledge and industry contacts, connections in the Indian markets are going to be incredibly valuable for BitcoinVend moving forward. So we will be working closely with Raj as some form of consultant, for lack of a better word, and the IBA to help roll out BitcoinVend into the Indian and potentially other markets.
Yes. Yeah. That's what we're there for. That's what partners are there for. We help each other. And it's a dynamic partnership. It's fluid. It is without a framework. That's exactly it is how it is now. But the frameworks will start forming as we go and move ahead in the partnership, and the roles will get more defined. And it's going to be a beautiful journey together, Joe.
For sure. I'm very much looking forward to it, Raj, and I've enjoyed our conversations to date. And yeah, I find it quite fascinating. And I look forward to being able to visit you there and in the future and seeing. It would give me great pleasure to. I used to work in the health and well-being industry, and I was designing nutrition courses and training plans and working for nutritional supplements companies, doing research, working with doctors and scientists. And what I would find most satisfying in my work is when I would find someone, I would find a message on my Facebook or in my WhatsApp from someone I had interacted with or done a course with or written something up with like a year or so prior. And they would send me this beautiful message saying, hey, Joe, that stuff that you shared with me has been really beneficial to my life. Here's a little update. This is where I am. Like, I've resolved these health issues or mental issues or whatever, and I'm doing really well. And thank you for your help. And for me, that's not about an ego thing of like, yeah, I did that. It's just a touching moment and experience where you realize that a little something of what you did touch someone and affect someone's life in a positive way. So I really look forward to the times where I bump into someone maybe in India or somewhere else in the future. It's like, hey, you're that guy from BitcoinVend. Hey, I found your platform and I was able to do this. And so for me, that's what's most exciting about it.
Wonderful thought. Wonderful. And I'm sure you'll have many such moments. I'm sure of that. It's just a question of time.
Indeed, we will. Time and hard work and perseverance. We will get there. So thank you very much, Raj, for yourself and your organization in supporting us in this goal and seeing the vision which we hold.
My pleasure entirely. And it's a pleasure of IBA. And it's a pleasure for India as well. Thank you so much for it, Joe.
Thank you very much. And everyone, thank you for listening. Sorry if we bored you or dragged on a little bit. I hope you found it interesting. And maybe we will touch base again with Raj in the future. Thank you very much, Raj Kapoor, for your time. And I hope you have a fantastic evening.
Yeah, thank you.